We're really happy to have Gloria Partida here. I ran with her for one of the city council seats 2 years ago.
2018.
2018, good. And it was a wonderful adventure, and I got to know Gloria much better. And now I'm so proud to have her on the city council and as this coming for the mayor of Davis, and look forward to all the things that she hopes to accomplish as mayor of Davis. And you can see here, she's chair president of the Davis Phoenix Coalition, and she's a member of the League of Women Voters, and she's mayor of the city of Davis. And I'm proud to present Gloria Partida, mayor of the city of Davis. And thank you so much for coming.
I am muted. Am I?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, there I go. No, I'm now, I think. Yes, thank you for inviting me to join you on this wonderful occasion. And thank you, Mary Jo. It was a great experience to run together. And Mary Jo invited all of the candidates after the election to get together for a drink and a dinner. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. That picture came up a couple of times now of us having that dinner together. And I thought it was a wonderful way to end the campaign and to know that everybody runs because they feel a commitment to their community and are invested in wanting to make things better. And in that regard, we were all on the same page. And I also had a wonderful experience. I didn't consider you my opponent. I considered you my running mate. We definitely, worked a lot of things out. And the one story that I tell everyone is that all the prospective candidates, show up at the city council meetings and sit through all of the city council meetings to show that, they're interested and committed and all of that. And at the end of some of those meetings go really long. They still go really long. At the end of the meeting, there were only 3 prospective candidates left in that room, and it was me, Mary Jo, and Linda Dios. And so, yay, women. We know how to go the distance.
We do. Oh, they did.
They did, yes. So thank you. I'm honored to be speaking to you in the year of the League of Women Voters as it hits its 100th year mark. I think it's auspicious for our city that in this 100th year, I am the first Latinx woman to be elected to the council and to have garnered enough votes to be mayor today. I think that speaks a lot, not so much about me, but it speaks a lot to the community that we live in. I really believe that. So it's not a stretch, I think, to give credit to the League for making my journey possible. The vision forged 100 years ago to include women in democracy came out of a then considered radical activist movement. That movement asserted that women should have a voice at the table. And I think that this idea began to extend to other groups around issues besides voting. Shirley Chisholm, who in a tribute to the suffragists, wore white on the day in 1968 when she became the first African-American woman elected to Congress, and said, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. I love that. So, and I think that what resonates with me is that I am a longtime activist. I started my activism in high school. I was growing up in Los Angeles, in a very under-resourced area of Los Angeles, and there were a lot of places that you could be an activist around environmental issues, around just the unfairness of being under-resourced, policing. You could take your pick. There were a number of things that you could really participate in, but I I remember thinking that I needed to raise my voice and I needed to speak up. And so I joined a group through my church called Mothers of East LA, and we stopped a prison from being built in our neighborhood. Then I had a son with disability and did a lot of disability activism on his behalf, and on, you know, trying to get mainstream education, and then participated in the schools when I came to Davis, and worked with the homeless. And so if I feel like if there was a place to volunteer, I probably volunteered there and did some sort of activism in that area. And that is pretty much how I ended up on city council, because I felt like I spent a whole lot of time asking for things that were needed, and I wanted to be on the other side of that equation. So what resonates for me about the League of Women Voters is that their primary work is to keep people engaged in democracy. And 100 years ago, women, being a vulnerable group, knew that voting gave them a voice and agency over their lives. And I think that as we look forward, it's important to remember that power is a difficult thing to hold on to for vulnerable groups. And we see today how easily voter suppression can rise up, how the rights of women, the LGBT, and Black and Indigenous people of color are constantly in peril. And because of this, young women and people of color are becoming more and more engaged in social justice. And it's imperative to make the connection for them that being engaged in the democratic process is social justice work. As I sit on city council, look at every issue through a lens of social justice. And so I always try to think about who is not at the table and who doesn't even have a folding chair, right? So 100 years ago, this group understood this, and this is why women of color and the LGBT community were some of the most ardent supporters. And unfortunately, the history of those early supporters is not as predominant. But I want to give you a brief list of some of the women who helped make suffrage a reality. African-American women, such as the writer and orator Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, which Harper Junior High in Davis is named after, the community organizer Juno Frankie Pierce, and the journalist Josephine St. Pierre Ruffin, Elizabeth Piper Ensley, and Ida B. Wells Barnett, who championed both suffrage and civil rights. Native American women such as Suzette LaFlesche Tibbles and Zikala Sa, queer women like the poet Angela Weld Gimke and the educator Mary Burrell, Latinx women like Jovita Idar, who protected her family's newspaper and the rights of Mexican Americans, and Asian American women like Maple Ping Wali, who led thousands of marchers in a 1912 suffrage parade in New York. They all fought for the vote as part of a broader struggle for equality. And that is pretty much all I've got to say.